Men, are you struggling to find new material to jerk off to? Really? I mean, you have millions of videos to choose from, but okay. Men, if you're running short of fresh fodder for your wank banks, technology has you covered. We all know the internet was practically made for pornography. Don't believe the State Department's lies about its true origins. Al Gore was just desperate for a way to cure a chronic case of blue balls. How's that for an inconvenient truth? Ever since the former vice president got its rocks off to the sexiest sequence of ones and zeros in the history of mathematics, every step of new technological advancement has paved the way for new and exciting innovations in pornography. And a short couple of decades later, porn has taken off so much that 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump, is posting nudes of his opponent's son online, and conservatives in the US are acting like suppressing these pictures is bad? Hang on. What the hell is going on over there? Do we need to have the consent conversation again? It sounds like we might need to have the consent conversation again. Listen, you can't skirt around the issue of consent with technology. Quite the opposite. Just because an image is contained within and delivered by a computer, that doesn't mean that the image being served to you is not of another human being. A human being with feelings and a right to privacy, and yes, a human being that did not consent for you to view it. In this case, and in the case of the recent barrage of deepfakes, yes, that's a computer-generated image, but you're looking at a real person's face. So should they not get a say in whether they are portrayed in this way, for male consumption, objectified in an absolute manner? Their visage used to titillate without their permission, performing actions they never did consent to, for some stranger's profit and pleasure. Do I have to explain why that's messed up? Well, whatever arguments you gave to that, I can't hear you. So, if you consent to hear the rest of my arguments on the deeply dehumanizing nature of deepfake porn, then keep watching. Hello to my surprisingly erotic cadre of loyal viewers, and welcome to this here YouTube show. I am, of course, as always, Brigitte Empire, science and culture correspondent for the Daily Telegraph, and, if I'm being honest, someone who is nowhere near a horny enough person to write the jokes needed to erect the section to where it needs to be to peek out of the trousers of the rest of this video. This subject is pretty heavy, you see, and as you can imagine, as a woman and as someone from a group that is so often fetishized, the first thing you ever saw probably when you searched for transgender online was pornography. I bet for a lot of you that was the case. I have very strong feelings on it, but I've made a promise to myself never to make a video that's entirely a downer. And to ensure that I keep my promise, Dan here has promised to watch me for this entire recording. If you look long enough into his cold dead eyes, you will understand that talking about anything sex-related with Dan around is off-putting to say the least. Luckily, as the only person here with my flesh still firmly attached to my bones, I'm in charge of giving the sexual harassment seminars over here at the Telegraph. So Dan knows what enthusiastic consent is, and had his meat and two veg not fallen off due to a severe case of leprosy back in the 1700s, he would absolutely be practicing safe sex, and going nowhere near anything as epically dubious as deepfake porn. Although that's probably more to do with his inability to comprehend the very existence of computers, rather than any indicator of his pure-heartedness. Plus, you know, Dan's never been a woman. Not yet, anyway. So there are some things he just doesn't quite understand. And I think a lot of people, especially young cis white men on the internet, are in his same position. People who don't understand why watching deepfake porn of real people is invasive and violating. Some people just haven't had to think of themselves and their bodies as something someone would feel entitled to steal, to hijack, to objectify, to reduce them to an imagined sex doll. Personality stripped from them, personhood stripped from them, no more than a picture on the wall. This is more than just an invasion of privacy. This is a violation. This, but in legal terms, is revenge porn.
June 2013, and a friend wrote me a text and said, I just want to warn you, someone is sharing links all over your channel, which at the time we had about 50,000 subscribers, mostly young teenage girls. And she said they're sharing links saying that you're a whore and a bad role model, and these porn sites have videos of you. And I had to Google my name, and there popped up this video, and my heart just sank, and my world came crashing down around me.
And at this point, you wasn't even with your boyfriend. You'd been...
I hadn't been with him for years. It came completely out of nowhere. I'd moved on with my beautiful girlfriend, and we were building a career and a life, and He tried to ruin everything.
And you couldn't contact him or anything at all?
I didn't contact him. I hadn't been in touch with him for years because of the difficult breakup, and so I just went right to law enforcement once I got the courage to speak out.
This was a British boyfriend, because you're American.
Mm-hmm.
So you have your own YouTube channel. How did this affect what people were saying about you? Because, as I said, you didn't know that these existed, and they were shared. So this is the trouble. Somebody posts it on one site, but then it's shared. So it was going viral, wasn't it?
Absolutely. You know, these videos were viewed tens of thousands of times, and on 37 different sites that they got shared to. Our fans were saying, you know, I looked up to you so much. You're such a role model, but I can't support somebody who would do this. Or I looked up to you and now I'm not going to watch anymore. We lost so many subscribers. We lost advertising opportunities because we weren't brand friendly.
And how did it affect you personally to know that those kind of videos and images of you are out there in the public domain?
I was diagnosed, I mean, I became an alcoholic by the time I was 23. I was diagnosed with PTSD. I have night terrors and sleep paralysis, so I can't actually wake up from the nightmare sometimes.
That's still...
Still, 5-10 times a night, Bria has to wake me up. I have anxiety, depression. Whenever I'm walking about, you know, going to the supermarket, every man that I see, I have to come up with some plan in case he tries to attack me, how I will save myself.
And you're thinking he might have seen that? He might have seen those images of me?
Absolutely. You know, I'm constantly worried that somebody has seen it. And even sometimes getting out of the shower, looking in the mirror, like seeing my body is just, it's very difficult, very triggering, and that's taken years to try to get.
And that's so difficult, Emma, isn't it? Because it...
Okay, if you haven't heard the term revenge porn before, you might be a little bit lost. And if you don't know what deepfakes are, you're going to be even more lost. Also, the whole deepfake porn debacle on Twitch was a few months ago now, so we might need a refresher. Dan, do you need a refresher? Ooh, it's going to need a lot more than a refresher. Okay, so at the risk of being informative instead of provocative, which is explicitly forbidden by my employment contract, let me back up.
I just think I would love to get ratatouille'd.
Ratatouille?
Like have a little guy up there.
Excuse me?
You know, making me cook delicious meals.
No, I understand. I've seen the film.
You wouldn't want that? A little guy pulling your hair, making you cook?
It's a ridiculous concept.
You're telling me you wouldn't want that?
I just don't know why you're bringing it up as if it's something that could actually happen.
You wouldn't want a little ratatouille guy up there doing whatever?
It's honestly insane that a rat would even be able to cook in the first place.
He doesn't have to be cooking.
In the movie, he's cooking.
Yeah, but in this scenario, though, he could do other stuff.
Yes, but you called it getting ratatouille'd. I mean, the movie is about cooking. Why call it getting ratatouille'd if the rat isn't even going to be making you cook? I don't need a rat to help me cook.
You're hung up on the cooking thing.
You were the one who referenced food.
Forget what I said.
You called it getting ratatouille'd, which is a reference to cooking in the first place.
Forget what I said. Ratatouille is just the frame of reference. Like, you can get ratatouille'd into doing other stuff.
It's just important to remember that words mean things.
Yeah, but I mean...
The word ratatouille has implications about cooking.
It's just easier to call it that. It's a ratatouille situation.
Words mean things.
Listen, if there's a little guy up there like a rat up on your head, it's a ratatouille, even if you're not cooking.
Okay. For this conversation, we can call it getting ratatouille'd, but I think moving forward, we should establish a different terminology.
Okay.
Okay.
I just want to know if you would want to get ratatouille'd.
Yes. I think I would want the rat to help me write a screenplay.
Thank you. That's pretty cool, man.
Thanks.
Jamie, pull up my favorite scene.
Put simply, or rather kind of reductively, a deepfake is like photoshopping a video. Whereas if you were my age, you will have on occasion stumbled across a very troubling image where some celebrity's head was photoshopped into an adult actor's body. Can we talk about how fucked up that is? Well, I'm going to. None of the actors or whoever was being edited into the pictures consented to that. In fact, a lot of female actors take great pain to keep from being exploited in this very way by the entertainment industry, making being on film naked a red line they won't cross, for example, as famously happened to several actors on Game of Thrones in the later seasons, resulting in a very professional-looking and probably much more expensive facsimile of a deepfake. Someone's body is being filmed and someone else's face was attached to them. Except, I'm fudging this a little bit on purpose for effect, so you sort of get used to the idea. The way Game of Thrones combined body and face actors together for one character in pivotal scenes was not a true deepfake, it was just... it had the aesthetics of the thing. An easily recallable image that can put into mind the real thing we're talking about. Deepfake, less simply, is a portmanteau of deep learning and fake, and as that implies, deepfakes use a type of machine learning that uses 3 or more neural nets, programs designed to stimulate the learning behavior of the human brain, taking in an absolute shit ton of data and using it to learn how to imitate someone's likeness. So you might have seen the videos going around of Joe Biden and Donald Trump playing Call of Duty together. Or Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro having whatever this is. I don't know how to describe it, but this is a deepfake I can get behind. So while this technology can obviously be used for a laugh, if you think about it for more than a few seconds, you can probably think of several purposes for deepfakes that could be a little more sinister, right? If a very convincing deepfake of Joe Biden can be used to make shitposts, with more time and more computer power, could we not fool someone with a video of Biden that's completely fabricated, that has some potentially deadly consequences? I mean, despite being left with very few of his faculties at this point, the President of the United States of America is de facto still the most powerful man in the world. And while, if we can wise up on how to spot a deepfake, how to learn to be skeptical of any video we see for fear it might be one, well, let's just say I've seen people's grandparents trying to use a mobile phone, and not everyone is going to be able to run fast enough to keep the sophistication of deepfake technology from outpacing their ability to spot it. But even beyond that, with our current technology, if we take our mind away from, say, politicians for a minute, and put ourselves in the position of being the one imitated by a deepfake, what's the very worst thing you can imagine someone doing with your image?
My safety, my day-to-day life, my whole career has been completely turned upside down and probably irreparably changed by this. Someone put my face onto porn and sold it. And if you don't understand just how convincing deepfakes are, have a look at some of these videos.
I am not Morgan Freeman, and what you see is not real.
It was love at first sight.
It so was.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time.
This is the level to which deepfake has gotten in the past few years, so things have changed, and so have the consequences. Obviously, when anything new comes out, the first thing it's used for is porn. There is a whole website, multiple websites dedicated to creating, on commission, videos of a sexual nature of anyone you want. And I actually found out when Atrioc apologized for accessing one of those websites.
I just feel so embarrassing of me. But I was on fucking Pornhub, dude. I was on a fucking regular ass normal fucking website, and there was an ad. There's an ad on every fucking video for this fucking. So I know other people must be clicking it because it's on every fucking video for fucking deepfake thing. And then I click it, and I'm fucking in this fucking rabbit hole. And at 2 a.m. I don't know. I got morbidly curious, and I click something, and I it's just fucking it's gross. It's gross, and I'm sorry. I really am. I really fucking am.
Pokimane was actually one of the people who was included in the streamers who were deepfaked. There were people coming into a chat saying, look at this photo or that photo of you that you posted, trying to justify sexualizing her as if she brought it on herself.
For anybody who's all up in my comments like, oh, look at this photo you posted. Look at this photo you posted. What about Maya? Literally makes the most wholesome content on earth and still deals with the exact same issues as me. Also, people can post whatever they want, and that still means that you need their consent to do certain things, including sexualizing them and then profiting off of it. Are you?
The whole Twitch community, like everyone was in uproar. A lot of people were very upset. Kitty Cinderella actually released a very heartfelt and very emotional statement when she discovered she had been deepfake.
Fuck Atrioc for showing it to thousands of people. Fuck the people DMing me pictures of myself from that website. Fuck you all. This is what it looks like. This is what the pain looks like.
And when you see things like that, it's very hard not to sympathize. And the whole situation led me to be a bit curious and be like, wait, am I on these websites? So I went and Googled it, and unfortunately, I had also been deepfaked by this person.
You know, sweet Anita, you've seen her streams, stumbled across her Twitter account, or watched clips of her on TikTok. She's likable, the kind of person you could watch do anything, even as she clicks her tongue, whistles, and tells you to fuck off. You've probably had her curse you out on repeat in a video playing in the background while you wash the dishes. She's got nearly 2 million followers on Twitch, thanks in part to her candor and reputation as a Tourette streamer. With such a massive internet presence, sweet Anita has gone to great lengths to craft and maintain her image, as well as her safety. There's a reason why her real name isn't on the internet. Why her team bans anyone who sexualizes her in the Twitch chat. Why she has to record our interview on her end too. But despite the work she's done to ensure that she is in control of her own narrative, the recent controversy where fellow streamer Brandon H. Ewing accidentally revealed that he had paid to watch deepfake porn posted by a content creator on a site similar to OnlyFans, and simultaneously also revealed that she was one of the victims of those deepfakes, has shaken her. It feels like a form of ridicule, she told Kotaku. I'm being forced and sold into sex work by someone I don't know, Sweet Anita tells me by Discord voice quote. She's explicitly clear. She doesn't have a problem with sex work, and even has friends in the industry, but she made a decision not to participate in that world, despite the heaps of financial gain she claims she could earn from it. I've been offered thousands of pounds in DMs for deepfakes, she says, and I won't do deepfakes. I'll walk barefoot on a beach, but I wouldn't sell a picture of my foot for a few grand. So that's the level of hard. No, I will not provide sexual services. It will put me in danger. It will cause people to feel like they can disrespect and dehumanize me. It will affect people's ability to listen to my opinions. Take me seriously. My ability to contribute to anything, because the stigma towards sex workers is so strong. They want to see you as a whore, no matter what you do. And they want to hate you for being a whore. It doesn't matter whether you participate. They'll make you participate in it, Sweet Anita says. You can be objectified against your will, as Amaranth and all of the women streamers who were deepfake were. But if you self-objectify, you're a whore. And what makes matters worse is that in this most recent instance, someone else was even making money off their objectification. I don't know how many straight men can relate to this. Obviously, some minorities can. There's a bunch of stuff done on how black men are sexualized, how Asians are sexualized. Friends I've known who've had muscles have also been objectified, but you're run-of-the-mill straight white guy with average features. Not that you can't empathize, but I mean, like, having that deep feeling in your gut that you get when you sense danger close by, like, that visceral urge to run, if that makes sense. Like, empathy is powerful, but as powerful as it is, it can't quite prepare you for the body horror of having your own flesh used against you, of being traumatized by the misappropriation, the violation of that's most personal to you, of the very face you see in the mirror every day. I know I certainly had a different gut-level fear response to this post-transition than I did when I still had the shield of being perceived as a male. For all I suffered pre-transition, and I did, when I still had the shield of being perceived as male, my body was never looked at with the same hunger. The entitlement to consume it that I've witnessed since from mostly straight men. Some people, once you surpass a certain threshold of what they deem to be femininity, find it very difficult to see you as a person. You can see it with people who've been your lifelong friends. You spent years laughing together, drinking, sharing stories, sharing beds when you needed to crash somewhere, and yet, at some point, you see the look in their eyes change when they see you. You're no longer a person that happens to live inside a body. You're a body that inconveniently has a person inside, if they deign to recognize that person at all. And that's really fucking scary. I think you can intellectualize it. Like, I was writing for feminist blogs years before I knew I was trans, and I related because I listened and I learned and I read and I learned more. But it's one thing to know something intellectually, to know how objectification works, the totality of how your image is robbed from you for cheap thrills, and quite another to be confronted with it face to face. I stand by it, it's body horror. The sense of having your own body betray you, of the image you see in every mirror, every time you look down, be used against you, to work towards your denigration. It gives me the same shivers I get seeing a girl transformed by a nightmare creature into a cockroach, or a man surgically altered until he's a walrus, his body destroyed beyond repair, with the sick pleasures of someone who sees him not as a person, but as a spectacle, as something to be observed, consumed, toyed with. Feelings? What feelings? This is just an image. It's not really you, right? But It is. That's the point. There are mountains of erotic content online. There are so many other things to choose from, so why go for deepfake porn? The point of this deepfake porn is specifically to have access sexually to someone who hasn't given you consent. There's a word for that. And if you're one of those people who insist that you wouldn't care about this, that it would be a compliment, that everything is fair on the internet, or whatever excuse you're throwing out to justify the actions of this violation of women in the public eye, who had the audacity to be famous but not sexually available to all of their fans, can you imagine your family seeing similar images of you? Take yourself out of the internet for a second and imagine an image you never approved of, depicting you in any manner you find, a humiliating one. Because you can put someone's face on anything, any act. And imagine it coming into the hands of those you feel safest around, of your most treasured circles. Would you be able to look them in the eyes, having seen that image, and tell them that it doesn't bother you? Twitch took over a month to address this scandal. A month, that is, after the video you've probably all seen by now, the one of Atriot crying, sitting next to his girlfriend, confessing to watching sexually explicit deepfakes of his fellow streamers. Atriot might not have made the content that violated these women personally, but these were made on request. He might as well have done. He's the reason for their creation. How do you even address that? What level of crime is that? How are you supposed to feel safe as a public figure, knowing that this is not only possible, but has happened, and from essentially a co-worker of these women? Twitch changed its terms of service to add protections against this stuff a month after this all blew over, and even then, is that enough? If Twitch truly wanted to advocate on behalf of its exploited employees, and don't get it twisted, streamers are Twitch's employees, shouldn't it be pushing for something further? Something like an expansion on the current laws on revenge porn?
Everybody, she's one of a new generation of internet stars. Chrissy Chambers and her partner Bria Cam have more than 350,000 followers on YouTube. It's not only an outlet for their musical talent, but their lives together too.
2, 3.
It's a very different kind of online video, though, that's thrust Chambers into the spotlight.
Please sign our change.org petition calling for a national law against revenge porn.
She claims she's become a victim of a phenomenon called revenge porn, accusing a former lover of secretly filming intimate footage of her and posting it online. There have been prosecutions for those who run the sites hosting such videos. Most recently, Hunter Moore in the US, who helped run one of the most famous sites, pleaded guilty to hacking and identity theft offences. He faces up to 7 years in prison. Posting revenge porn is now a criminal offence in the UK too, but that law was only passed after video of Chambers was allegedly posted. So she's fighting an unprecedented legal battle to lodge a civil claim against her former partner in the British courts.
Revenge porn is, in short, non-consensual pornography. It's abuse, it's sexual harassment, if not something worse. The term gained prominence in 2018 after a long legal battle in the UK fought by queer YouTuber Chrissy Chambers, who along with her partner Bria Cam ran a channel that most sapphic people will probably be familiar with. For years, literally years, Chrissy took the case against her ex who, after a 9-month relationship, after which Chrissy came out as a lesbian, uploaded 7 videos of himself and Chrissy having sex that he had filmed without her knowledge or her consent. After she began dating Cam, he uploaded them to a free porn site. On the internet, things don't stay in one place for long. The videos quickly spread over 35 different porn sites, racking up hundreds of thousands of views. For those unfamiliar with British law, it's been illegal in England since April 2015 to post private sexual images to the internet without consent of the subject of the image. The videos of Chrissy Chambers were uploaded 4 years before the law came into place. Thankfully, however, Chrissy won her case. We have been able to set a legal precedent that should serve as severe warning to those who seek to extort and harm with revenge porn. You cannot do this with impunity, and you will be held accountable for your actions. Chambers said. For anyone who has been living in fear of revenge porn used against you, there has never been a better time to come forward. Immediately after making her statement, Chambers got down on one knee and proposed to Cam. This is the end of a very difficult chapter in our lives. This has taken up 4.5 years of our 6-year relationship, and I don't want to waste another moment ending this chapter before I start the next one, Chambers said. Chambers' victory in the civil courts marks the end of a 4-year legal battle. As well as damages, Chambers has won copyright of the videos, so she can pursue any websites that host them, and received an apology from her ex-boyfriend. Her lawyer, Georgina Calvert-Lee at McAllister Olivares, said, "Victims of revenge porn always tell us of their humiliation and shame. Their identities have been stolen and distorted, and they think they are powerless to do anything about it. Their attackers, those who have violated their trust and posted their images, or copied and shared them, or profited off them, bank on this humiliation and sense of powerlessness." Chrissy Chambers' case shows that victims of revenge porn need feel powerless no more. All they need to do is use the law to stop the revenge porn and the industry that feeds off it and take back control of their image and their identity. There we go, I told you it wouldn't all be bummers. Revenge porn is often used as retaliation or blackmail material by a current or former partner, hence the name. But with deepfake porn, which is explicitly a form of revenge porn of non-consensual pornography, as we've seen, their targets aren't necessarily personal, because you don't need the actual media to hand the footage. The revenge porn, such as it is made on demand for deepfakes, and looks to be less about revenge than about entitlement, about greed, about a sense that a woman in the public eye necessarily has lost any right to privacy, as if there is a threshold of desirability where, when you surpass it, you cease to be fully human, and you become an avatar for heterosexual male desire. Your dignity no longer worth more than the primal urges of something humans were never meant to experience. Millions of hungry eyes on us. Critical mass. After all, how can you stop something like this happening if there are enough people clamoring for it? That's not a philosophical question. There's an answer to this. The same laws we have in place for revenge porn can be expanded to protect people from this awful practice. The UK has plans on the table to outlaw deepfake porn in their controversial online safety bill, which besides doing this right and necessary thing, as you might expect from the UK, there's a whole bunch of other weird and stupid and horrible shit. You get the point, it's the UK. We're crumbling apart over here. The problem here is that as quickly as laws can keep up with the new and awful ways people keep finding to use technology to exploit and hurt people, those very technologies keep being invented. Posting pictures without permission? Made illegal in the UK, 2015. Revenge porn? Made illegal in the UK, 2018. Deepfake porn? Looking like going to be made illegal in 2023. But there will be more. This is an issue of consent and education about consent, as well as this arms race between laws and technologies, with which, given the extremely slow nature of laws in the current year, we're always going to be running just to stay in place. We need to take proactive action about this earlier on. We need to be teaching consent in school. We need to be learning about how objectification of women works, of basic feminist principles, of safe sex principles, enthusiastic consent, why it's wrong to do this shit. Basic feminist and safe sex principles should be something you come out of school understanding, because it's necessary for the safety of more than half the population that we prevent this process of education via the wildest parts of the internet, especially when kids are growing up with every image in the bloody world on their hands. What's the point of being prudes when educating the kids? They've probably seen worse things than you have. They've grown up with the internet. The least you can do for them is make sure that they have the information they need to have a happy, healthy relationship to people of other sexes, and to relationships in general. If we didn't have these gaps in our education system, do you really think so many young boys would be turning to idiots like Andrew Tate for advice? The only reason that people think that a man like him knows what he's talking about is because he's telling them explicitly he has answers, and they've not been given any. But the thing is, we know the answers already. Give them to them before these predators catch them, before they do horrible things like creating deepfakes of non-consenting women, of posting revenge porn. Tell them the truth. That women are just people like everyone else. And the messaging, the whispers in your ear that it's a lie, that they're only there for male consumption, that they're somehow inferior, that they need to be tricked into loving you, that's patriarchy. We shouldn't be afraid to say it. Just look at the dynamics at play here. And that doesn't mean that if you're a man, this is your fault. Men suffer under patriarchy too. Are you okay with me saying that, Dan? Patriarchy? Huh. Surprisingly chill today. Nothing suspicious is happening. I better keep both my eyes open. Learn from your example. Or maybe I peel off my eyelids too. It actually strangely suits you. Huh. Okay. Well, before I awaken something strange within myself, and before something dark and sinister happens over here, or before I get fired by the anti-woke brigade here at the Telegraph, that's not a joke, that's what they call HR over here, stay safe, be kind to each other, and say no to deepfake porn. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Hopefully it wasn't too heavy. If you enjoyed this, why not give this video a like, leave a comment, hit that subscribe button, and share it with your friends. And if you really, really liked it, you can help me not starve by dropping me a one-time donation on Ko-fi or signing up to my Patreon for just £1 British a month. All patrons get early access to videos multiple days before everyone else. So if you want to hear my dulcet tones before the rest of the world gets a chance to, here's your chance to have me all to yourself. In addition, when I reach enough patrons to make this my actual job, I'll set up a Discord, maybe? And on that Discord, we can hang out and chat and stuff. How's your day been going? Anyway, if you're interested in making that happen, why not contribute to it? Why not contribute to it? Can you tell I've been recording for a while? In addition to all that, you also get the most important part of this. The shout-out at the end of each video. Just like Joey Cobalt, Scar Jazz, Mary Nia, Lara Van Loop, Howard Lott, and Anne Bachera. Alright. Until I get dragged out of my office kicking and screaming, see you all on the next one.